Hey guys, I know inflation has been affecting all of us, and in this video I would like to share some of these methods may help you tackle inflation and improve your overall financial situation. The first thing that many of us can do is to know where our money is going. So there are a lot of apps nowadays that can help you track this. You don't need to go through your Excel to manually track all your spendings. There are apps that can sync to your credit card, to your bank, even your banks. Even our Singapore banks, they do offer such services. They let you have a wide overview of where your money is going across all banks, across different cards. You can easily identify areas where you can cut back on. For example, if your morning coffee is very important to you, you don't necessarily have to cut back on that. There are areas that may not matter that much to you that you may be willing to cut back on. So another simple way of budgeting is the 50-30-20 rule. I personally use this for myself at an early stage of my career, where 50% essentially goes to your expenses and the other 20 and 30% either goes to your savings or investment. So once you have built up that first initial emergency fund from that 20% of savings, then you can use the whole 50% all to your investments. Okay, the second is obviously to reduce your expenses, because inflation is pushing the prices of everything up. If you are just creative in some little aspects, you can possibly save a lot of money this way. This can range from cancelling non-essential things like cancelling your Netflix subscriptions or your subscriptions to magazines and things that you don't actually need, these recurring expenses, and ranging to switching to generics when you're doing grocery shopping. FairPrice, Dairy Farm, and even Red Mart, they have introduced their whole line of house brands, and by switching to these generic brands, you can actually save a lot of money. And most of the time, their quality is essentially the same, since they are manufactured by the same OEM manufacturer. In my household, we are also changing some of the things that we eat. For example, we are eating a lot less meat and incorporating a lot of vegetables into our diet. So I feel that that's actually a good change in a way. And we are also looking out at the clearance section more. So sometimes when you go to the supermarket, there will be this clearance section. Usually this clearance section consists of perishable, usually fruits and vegetables with a very short shelf life left. They may look slightly less pretty, but they are good to eat. No compromising of nutritional values. And if you cook it that way, you're all good. So other than grocery shopping, one area that we can significantly cut back on expenses is possibly switching providers of, for example, our mobile plan providers, internet plan providers, or even electricity providers now that is the open electricity market. Some of the other ways that you can reduce expenses is possibly also like if you rent, possibly moving to a place with lower rental rate, like out of the city, or even switching out your entertainment choices. Cook more at home or pack to work, and also reduce the need of using taxis or private hire cars. For example, me and my husband, we love to eat out, but we realize that we only gain exceptional satisfaction from either the high-end restaurants or the low-end food. So those in the middle range doesn't give us a lot of marginal utility per se. So what we did, instead of eating out on those mid-end restaurants, we cook at home, and that way we can save more money. And the next time that we do spend eating in a high-end restaurant, that also makes us feel not as bad. While you're trying your best to cut costs, another aspect that you might want to put in considerable efforts in is to increasing your income. So over the last year, together with inflation and a hot job market, the average income in Singapore actually increased 6% from 5,877 in 2021 to 6,282. That's 6% increase. And you can possibly do that just by switching jobs. I know this way is not the most rewarding to loyal employees in the company, but certainly is how the job market works. When you jump to another competitor, even if you're just doing the same kind of job, you're likely to get at least a 10 to 15% increase in your base salary. do update your resume and keep it handy in case of any opportunities that may arise. And in the event if you don't want to change your job, for example, you find your job being stable or that's not a change that you want to look at, you can also look at exploring side hustles, your income sources like renting out the extra rooms in my house, joining focus groups and answering surveys, selling stock options, and my dividend portfolio. So there are a variety of sources that passively generate income sources from. A bit about decreasing your debt. So this is not rocket science. Obviously, we know that debt is something that we borrow from someone and we need to pay both the principal and interest back to the person. So for example, especially when interest rate range up to the double digit, this is a figure that most safe investments are unlikely to be able to beat. So examples of debt in this category would be your credit card debts, your personal loans, the luxury automobile loans, etc. Debt repayment is a very straightforward process. There's usually two ways that one can look into it. There's the avalanche chain method and the snowball method. I personally, in a practical point of view, paying your debt off in the order of the highest interest rate makes the most mathematical sense. By writing off your debt, this is one expense that you can write off your personal expense in full. Since January 2022 until now, the end of July, the stock prices of many companies have decimated so much that anything that you buy will possibly be at a discount. This is when you may want to consider using the dollar cost averaging approach. In fact, this is the only time in bear markets, recessionary times, it is when the DCA approach does the best. So take for example a booming bull market. Every time you dollar cost average, your average of each stock will be higher. But in recessionary times, when you dollar cost average, you're actually averaging down, because when the price goes down, your cost per unit goes down as well. And contrary to popular belief, you don't have to be too rigid about this DCA approach. You don't have to consistently do it every month. For me personally, I like to do it when I see significant dips in the market. So having a chunk of war chest that you can easily deploy out will make a lot of sense. Hold on to your cash and invest only when it reaches your target price. So you don't have to do it every month, even though you're uncomfortable with it. Unless if you're really lazy and you want a totally hands-free approach, setting it on automatic may make sense for you. So thank you guys for staying until the end of the video. And before you start off, any investments, is always important to keep at least 6 months of your expenses handy as emergency debt, so that this will cushion you and act as an emergency buffer in case you need to use it in any situations, and to prevent you in selling your investment at a loss, especially at the bear market today. And if you like more of this kind of content, I really will appreciate if you give a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. It really means a lot to me. And thank you, and see you in the next video. Bye!